The king has the royal chalice ready, and the branch has the C-47s all organized. It's time to decode the world stage. And now, back to the King and Branch Show, only on Channel KOK.
Symptom of Disney magic. That even when I recently rewatched it, and it wasn't just that nostalgic feeling. I could still feel that Disney magic in it that I felt as a kid when I was watching it, that you don't feel in Disney movies within the last 15 years or so. So I think this was one of the last times Disney really tapped into their mimetic weaving magic when they're crafting these films. So I think it's interesting to kind of we're going to go through and see what is this Disney magic made of for this film. So in the so a little oral history here with this link. Essentially, what this article is about. It's a really long article. We won't fully get into it because it's very hefty. It is an interesting one because it gets into the fact that the reason why one of the reasons why Lilo and Stitch it is what it is because a lot of the corporate suits of Disney kind of left it alone. It was housed in like an extra kind of building off to the side, or they were just animating like mid-budget movies that they wasn't really like the main studio wasn't really focused on. You know, they didn't have all these hands in it. It's not like your Disney princess movies or anything, right? Where there's all these hands in the same trying to work on the same recipe. It was just some prominent Disney people making something kind of off to the side at the beginning, and then it just got bigger and bigger. And now it's a cultural phenomenon, right? And now they're remaking it into a live action version. So it's interesting that it kind of started off as something kind of like a side quest kind of thing, right? And it's grew into something bigger. And I think that's part of its magic, that they let it be, right? And it's corporations don't really let things be now. And to go on off of that, the branding in it was very interesting. Where all the ads, all the commercials wasn't just clips from the movie. It was completely original animations of scenes from famous Disney plays, not plays, musicals, like their Disney princess musicals and whatnot. And then the scene gets interrupted by Stitch invading the scene. So it was called the Stitch invasion. He was all over the amusement parks and just everything, all the branding. There was like this, they called it the Stitch invasion. Probably one of the most famous ones is a clip of Aladdin on the, and Jasmine on the magic carpet singing their song, and Stitch pulls up in his red spaceship right beside the red carpet and whistles at Jasmine, and Jasmine gets in his spaceship over riding the on the magic carpet with Aladdin. So it's like Stitch still Jasmine from Aladdin, because he had this.
He's got the Riz. Is that what they call it? Does Stitch have the Riz?
Yeah, and so like. And they did it. They did that similar thing with this new live action version. They had him intersect with the old scenes from all the other live action Disney films. So the kind of double dipping with the same memetics there. And
was that on the red carpet? You said.
Yeah, just
the red carpet's usually like a bloodline kind of thing too. So there might be more to it there.
Yeah.
But how many stories do we have of aliens mating with human women or whatever? It's kind of a funny tangent, but
exactly. You're right on it, man. To go on to the next tab there. I think our next one is over 9/11. So Stitch technically caused 9/11 in a way. So and what I mean by that is in the original film, which was in production before 9/11 happened, because the animation takes a while. The ending of the movie where Stitch is trying to rescue Lilo from Gantu. In the first version of it, he steals a airplane, a commercial airplane, and he is chasing to get Lilo back, and he crashes into a bunch of buildings. And then 9/11 happens. They were worried that it's too close to home, so they use the same animation, but they reskin it to be an alien spaceship he's driving, and a big red one, which plays into his obsession with the color red and red spaceships. But also they changed the buildings to mountains, and the mountains are still, they really just kind of reskinned it. It's kind of still in the same formation of the buildings, but then they kind of hit the mountains instead of the buildings, which makes sense because the whole point of Stitch is like he's created to be the embodiment of destruction and chaos. So he wants to go. He's created to go to a big city and destroy cities and destroy civilizations. And so to have him on an island that kind of isolates him, that's kind of part of what the dynamic of the story. So it kind of worked in their favor to change the buildings to mountains, because it changed kind of the tone of the film.
Well,
Right.
and a point to make too is the word play here. So obviously we know that 9/11 was an inside job, of course, but the aliens hijacked it, right? Another word for immigrants, right, is that. So I feel like they were kind of seeding the idea there of aliens hijacking a plane, which is exactly what happened, right? Because I highlighted the point here that although it was released after, the animation had been completed before.
Yeah, exactly. And this isn't the first time Lilo and Stitch has been changed. When they brought Lilo and Stitch to Disney Plus, they reanimated the scene where Lilo and her older sister Nani is playing hide and seek, and Lilo hides in a dryer because they was afraid that kids will be climbing in dryers. So they changed it to a cabinet, and when they put it on Disney Plus. So that's
Now
another
that's some thoughtful editing, at least. Yeah, I mean, I can vibe with that one.
Yeah, that is thoughtful, but that's another example of make sure you own something in physical media, because they can change it at any time, right?
Feeling grown up and worn out? Adults these days are so busy, they forget how good it feels to just be a kid again. That's why we made Nostalgia Drip, now with that timeless kid feeling. Nostalgia Drip brings back endless energy for play, zero worries, staying forever young at heart.
Little citizenships. From Goy Toys comes Nordcube, who delivers products of obedience. Watch as he teaches you to dock your rights and flow with the currency of Admiralty law. Nord! Illuminator Drown! Clip on his birth certi float and birth your freedoms for the greater illumination. With Nord the Cube, Operation Mind Fun for ages 5.
Tonight on Kingdom Reviews, blast into the meta, mayhem of the last action hero. Golden tickets to movie worlds, wild man mentors, and flanderized myths. Can Danny harness the berserker fire? Don't miss it, or stay trapped in the dreamer's shadow.
Now, back to the show.
Yeah. Next here we have of course the Elvis connection. Because Lilo, she's seen as kind of, I guess you can say it's, in a way, she's that quirky, a bit of a young version of a manic pixie dream girl, or even what are they called? Moon children, right? She's different from all the other kids her age. And one of the ways they show that is through her obsession with Elvis Presley. And those Elvis songs playing throughout the film. When she's trying to teach Stitch to become more human, she uses the idyllic role model of Elvis. She wants him to be more like Elvis. They sing Elvis. They even go to a bench in the film that they say that that's where Elvis would visit when he went to Hawaii. And they even she kind of like does this kind of prayer to the spirit of Elvis, in a way. And Elvis has a big connection in real life with Hawaii, of course, which we'll be getting into. I don't know if you want to scroll down here. I think we have some highlights of various Elvis conspiracies. So of course, Elvis died on the toilet, so that's like throne symbolism, right? He died on the throne. Those are those conspiracies that he didn't die, he faked his death.
And also the sitting on the toilet thing. There's a demon called Belphegor. I think he's depicted as that too.
Yeah. Those are those videos of Elvis where his like face glitches, right, or like melts or something, like he's something's going on there. And then of course, I believe, is there any other conspiracies on that list I'm missing, Branch, that you see?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure because I'm not familiar with a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of them here.
Yeah.
But what came to mind was be sure to mention the Memephise connection, because after all, we use that in the title. I didn't know when that would be appropriate.
Yeah. Of course, he, obviously Graceland. Maybe if you want to go to the next link, then I believe this plays into the next link of Elvis connections with Disney. They hosted, Graceland is in Memphis, of course. They hosted a premiere of Lilo and Stitch at Graceland.
I did not know that.
Yeah, when the movie came out, if you wanted to scroll down, there's a little bit about that in the article, possibly.
Just wanted to point out how many digits he has. So it looks like he's a 4-digited creature, right?
Yes.
Where did you want me to go exactly?
On
the page.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. He got Elvis's the Elvis Foundation. They don't like giving his copyright of Elvis's persona out to people and his music. It's really hard to have Elvis's music in films because they don't. It's the Elvis Presley Foundation doesn't like giving it out copyright, but they gave it to Disney because of their relationship with Disney.
Well, and I found it curious too how you said this was who she considered the archetypal man or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would necessarily hold true today because, tastes have changed, I'm sure. But what made him that, right? And he was referred to as the king. And so I think there is a lot of archetypal energy there.
Yeah.
And it's curious to me how she was instructing him how to emulate that, suggesting that like this was her version of the ideal masculine king or whatever, emperor.
Exactly. Yeah, he's the the American David, the universal, the American version of the universal man. He was what Trump was at for his time in a way, even though he was never really a politician of sorts. He did fight in war. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. And even in the Stephanie Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, made a movie recently called I'm blanking on the name of it, but it was it was a story of Elvis Presley from his wife's perspective, based on his wife's autobiography, and she the actor that she hired to play Elvis in the film, he was so young that the first time he ever heard of Elvis was because of this Lilo and Stitch movie. So, and that was the headlines everywhere. It was like, Elvis actor, first time hearing about Elvis was because of the Lilo and Stitch movie. So it was like they was trying to get future generations to remember him, even though they wasn't around for his impressions.
Yeah, remember the king, right? And then I didn't know exactly how you were going to transition into the Hawaii stuff, but this right here seems relevant. If you want to read that or talk about
if you want to read it really quick.
The other reason that it made sense for the directors to feature the king of rock and roll in their movie set in Hawaii was to pay homage to some of Elvis's most iconic movies and performances ever. He made 3 movies set in Hawaii: Paradise, Hawaiian Style, Girls, 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 and Blue Hawaii. He performed 2 major concerts in the Aloha State as well: the USS Arizona benefit in 1961 and Aloha from Hawaii in 1973. Aloha from Hawaii was a live broadcast concert and was NBC's highest rated program of the year, which, again, another similarity to Trump. They hate him, but they love the ratings.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, so which brings us to our next link, which is all about the America's obsession with Hawaiian culture, especially in the 1950s. After Hawaiian became the 50th state, they wanted people to, of course, travel there and everything. So you had this whole tiki culture. So they kind of gave this idea that, like, if you work enough, if the American white picket fence, American dream kind of suburban dad works enough at his office job, he can get vacation time, so he can fly his family to Hawaii. You got the Brady Bunch, going to Hawaii on their vacation special, and so on and so forth. So this whole like tiki culture and like tiki barbecues, that you could get tiki decorations at home and do your backyard barbecues in Hawaiian style and luau's, like it. They really sold it, and that's kind of what the Lilo and Stitch movie kind of emulates with the art style. It's that kind of like 1950s kind of Hawaiian watercolor painting mixed with like a light kind of like pin up kind of aesthetic, right?
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing I didn't know till just now reading the article. It's talking about how tourism began in earnest, but was turbocharged with the nearly simultaneous introduction of jet aircraft, which are featured heavily in the film. You just were talking about the plane flying into the buildings or whatever. And here it's talking about that's what drove the Hawaiian tiki culture and the ability to go to vacations was the creation of this jet aircraft. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, of course, the next thing we can talk about, I'll remove our links here for a second so we can talk about it, is in the film, what's the meaning behind the name Lilo and Stitch? So Stitch is, when he was first created by Jumba, the mad scientist alien, he only referred to him as Experiment 626 because he was the 626th experiment that he did. I don't have the screenshot, but in the beginning of the film, he presents him in like a capsule, very much like homunculus, right? So we have the like mad scientists, like again, 1950s sci-fi fantasy films, which they do watch 1950s movies in Lilo and Stitch, because that's another thing Lilo's obsessed with is 1950s sci-fi and creature features. So like the whole like 1950 culture is still prevalent in the film, but even in the aliens, it's kind of influenced in their design and in the aliens culture. So you have Jumbo creating experiment 626, and then when Stitch escapes to capturing and crash lands in Hawaii, Lilo and takes him in, adopts him, renames him Stitch, and so she's kind of like that, like again like that, like kind of starseed moonchild kind of kind of where she can understand Stitch and everything, because he does it kind of, he speaks his own kind of language, and so when he crash lands, Lilo is actually praying to God to send her an angel because she's lonely, and she sees his crash landing ship as a shooting star, and she thinks it's a shooting star. So she prays to his crashing ship to send her an angel, so she's not lonely.
That's pretty crazy. I did not know that. That's so wild.
And here's the scene. She goes, "I need someone to be my friend. Maybe send me an angel." And she says, "The nicest angel you have." She's like, "Send me the nicest angel in heaven." And it cuts to him crash landing, and he's on the mountain, like maniacally laughing, like he's like, he's like because he's created to be like a war machine. Like he's super cute and fluffy, but he is created to destroy everything in his path.
That reminds me of the Dragon Ball Z thing where Goku was sent to destroy Earth, but hits his head and forgets that he's like a Super Saiyan and ends up becoming domesticated by like a kind man.
yeah, Lilo. And so Lilo finds him. She adopts him as her quote dog, and then she renames him Stitch, which Lilo means lost. And so the name of the film is literally Lost and Stitch, as in lost and get stitched back together, which the whole idea of the film is family. Like Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. And it's because, Lilo and her older sister Nani's parents died in a car accident before the film picks up. And Lilo's older sister, who's like 19 in the film, has to become the parent. And they even have a fight at the beginning of the film where she's like, "You're much better of a sister than you are a mom." And she's like, "I know I'm not doing such a good job right now." And even in the film, Cobra Bubbles, who is a social worker, who he has tattoos, he's very muscular, so it's kind of odd that he's their social worker, is like, "Hey, like, I'm here to check up on Lilo. You guys aren't doing so good. If anything happens, I'm going to have to take Lilo away. I know it's really sad deal, but like, you guys got to try to be doing even better than what, like, do better, essentially." And it's odd that this is their social worker, and it's hinted at, they understand that it's odd, and it's revealed at the end of the film that it's because he's a retired CIA agent who worked during Roswell, and so he knows aliens. So he ends up helping Lilo and Nani out at the end of the film to get Stitch to stay with them and not get sent back to be destroyed. And I think they want to send him in like into a black hole or something. I don't know. I forget exactly what the aliens kind of decide. But then they see Stitch has been rehabilitated at the end of the film. So they let him stay with Lilo. And now Lilo and Nani are under the protection of the Galactic Federation. That reminds me, the aliens in all the films, in the films, are very aquatic to fit with the water theme. Even the villain, Gaintu, is a giant alien shark with feet and hands. So I think that's a wink at this idea of like the biblical Earth and like cosmic egg, and the waters of heaven, having the aliens look like fish, like even the leader of,
Marine Kingdom.
yeah, even the leader of the Galactic Federation is a giant alien squid. So it's like, I think it's definitely a wink and nods to that sort of thing, right? But yeah, going back really quick to the name thing, one of the songs, there was original Hawaiian songs throughout the film on top of the Elvis songs. And one of the main songs is called like Mili no Lilo. I forget exactly how you pronounce it, but it's essentially Hawaiian for the Ballad of the Lost Children. And of course, there's a reference to her being lost without her family, and them having to stitch together a blended family of aliens and humans. But it can also be a reference to, again, since it was kind of like a indigo children kind of thing. It could be a reference to being ferried away and children getting abducted and like, disappearing into the mountains and the forest, especially since Stitch,
like a changeling type thing.
Yeah, a changeling type thing. Especially since Stitch originally crash lands on a mountain, which gets us to this Hellier connection. So we got one more link here.
Actually, I think you got two, but
yeah, okay. In the documentary series Hellier, when Greg and Dana Newkirk investigated the Hellier goblins, the Inner Earth goblins in Hellier, Kentucky, they look like they was described as grays coming out of the mines and the mountains and the caves. But it's really hard to tell in that image, but they have these ears that come out that have grooves in them that look just like Stitch's ears. And when I was watching this, I go, that's just Stitch, because Stitch has these very, the really big ears with the grooves in them. So I thought that was interesting, because since he crash lands on a mountain.
I can see what you're saying. I have the picture up there, and I noticed also he doesn't have a nose, this creature here, unless it's somewhere else.
And
but
Stitch
it
does have that flat nose, yeah. But yeah, what's the next link? I forget what it is. Oh yeah, the ride. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to mention here is on top of the Lilo and Stitch craze, they reskinned Disney's first horror ride. So Disney had their first horror ride, which was a 5D interactive ride called Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, where you role played as guards in an alien prison, and this alien creature animatronic would escape and crawl around you and everything. And it was their first horror ride. It got shut down because I guess it was too scary. And then they would use the same animatronic in the same place and reskin it to be Stitch's Great Escape, where you are a guard, and Stitch is in his homunculus jar prison, and he escapes and he crawls around you and everything. And I actually went on that ride, the Stitch version of the ride, when I was younger, and it was still pretty creepy of ride, even with the reskin Stitch animatronic. It's still a really creepy ride to be in pitch darkness, and these animatronics are crawling around you and spraying you with water, and they're spraying smells into the room and everything. Stitch has a really big craze. Let me see what here. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, they franchised it out. So you also have, Lilo and Stitch 2, which was a direct-to-TV movie called Stitch Has a Glitch. And it was all about Stitch not being complete, and he keeps on glitching out. And so he almost dies, and then Lilo has this hula competition. That she's trying to be just like her mom. So that it's kind of like they're kind of recreating like these creature features. It's very like kind of reminds me of like the creature from the Black Lagoon,
which is another aquatic creature. Yeah, perhaps without a nose.
Yeah,
I'm not
without
sure
a
if he
nose.
has a nose or not.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
It's because they have gills, dude. They don't need a nose. Duh.
Yeah, duh. Yeah, but to finish up here, so they also had Lilo and Stitch, the series where they turned into Pokemon, where Lilo and Stitch had to find all his other 600. He called them cousins because in Hawaiian culture, they say cousin a lot, but all the other experiments before him. So it's kind of like Pokemon where they had to like catch them all, but they rehabilitated every single one and found their place in the world and everything. And then that's where you get you had they had yin and yang aliens. They had Reuben, which was just like there was the alien creation before Stitch, but he was suffer from gluttony, so he can never be as strong as Stitch because he just couldn't stop eating. The alien that Jumbo tried to make after Stitch when he was forced to make it by the villain to create an anti-Stitch, like evil Stitch, Leroy. He was kind of like the Antichrist. You had Angel. He was a pink girl Stitch. He was a siren who could like hypnotize other alien experiments with her singing. So yeah, you had all these kind of different aliens.
Thanks for tuning in to Channel KOK, broadcasted from the Kingdom of Eternal Rain.